All right. Hey guys, how you going?
Hey, Luke, lovely to meet
Good,
you.
thank you.
Look at your beautiful emotion cards in the background there.
Yeah. Just did some
Oh,
reshuffling around. So no, thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
no, I'm really looking forward to this evening. I always think it's really wonderful, and Lucia's and the team have shared just about your passion as well. So I always look forward to that journey around the human behind the school and the school community and the culture and sort
Yeah,
of and
definitely.
what's popping up and yeah, it's one of those things where, and you'd be the same because we work with people and young people, but it's always it's such a delight to hear and to share. And thank you for volunteering your time because I think it's really
No, you're
critical
welcome.
for our schools to be able to know, what are other schools doing and what problems are they solving, and it's that beautiful knowledge sharing that happens as well.
Exactly. No, yeah, I couldn't pass on the offer. So thank you so much. It's great.
That's
And
so
yeah,
sweet.
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
How was your day?
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Mm.
We're just getting ready for Mother's Day, so you can probably see the stuff behind me as well. So we've got our Mother's Day store coming up on Friday, and
Oh.
staff meeting tonight. So yeah, the timing's actually landed pretty solidly. So we've been able to knock off a few emails while I've been waiting. So and then Lucia, thank you for your help just then. I couldn't get on, so always technical things towards the end, but no, it's been good.
we I think it's that thing where we all love technology when it works, and you'd think that
Yeah,
after 6 years of living our life on either Teams or Zooms, we'd all be so we wouldn't be doing the "Can you hear me? Is my camera on?"
yeah,
But we still do
exactly,
it. I do it every day, and I'm like,
exactly.
at least we've got a sense of humor about the whole thing
That's
now.
yeah, that's right. You have to laugh and
It's
smile, otherwise, yeah, gets a bit dull.
hmm Yeah, that's absolutely it. So the Mother's Day store, I must admit, as a mother myself, that was always one of those.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. And the memories I have. Do you have children?
I've got two little girls. Yeah,
Oh, how old are
yeah.
they?
Ariana's 4 and Alexandra's 2. So
Oh, so you haven't started the Mother's Day store from the primary school yet. No, it has to be from
yeah,
the primary school. It's a bit
that's
different
right.
from the preschool to the primary school.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
But I have some of the fondest memories of both my children bringing home the most obscure items from the Mother's Day
Yeah,
store. Still
yeah,
giggle, you keep them every year or you keep them forever because it's that moment in time. But yeah, it puts a huge smile on my face to think, I don't even know what that is myself, but you just liked it. Okay,
yeah.
this is
That's
good.
it. No,
It's one of
they've picked
those
it out, so
things.
you have to keep it. No, that's great.
Now, I'm a little bit of a time monitor. So, Luke, if it's okay with you, it is 7 o'clock on the dot. And I know there's a lot
Yeah,
of people like yourself that have just, finishing up a really big day. So we might kick
sure,
off
sure.
if that's okay.
Yeah, fine with that. Thank
Um,
you.
so I just want to say welcome to everyone. I just like to start this evening. Sorry, I've just got things moving everywhere. Let me just get really present and really here. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement of country. We'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respect to elders past and present, and urging and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island peoples joining us today. I will just get you to move the slide for me, Lucia. I'm extremely delighted to be with Luke this evening, who's joining us from Nailsworth Primary School. I'm not going to read your bio. I always think that it's just incredibly boring having a
Yeah.
slide there. And I think just one question I'll ask is, what is something in your career that's not on here that you're really proud of today?
I think something in my career that's not on there that I'm proud of today is probably, I guess my primary school journey as a student. I think when I think about why I've gotten into this role and why wellbeing places such a big part on my heart is because I had some, really, really instrumental male role models in primary school, which is very rare. So,
Yeah.
to have your year 5 teacher also become your football coach at the local club and everyone have that sense of community I was lucky, I think, and I always wanted to be like him, and I'm
Hmm.
glad that I've been able to reconnect in the last couple of years as well. And it's just brought so much, I guess, compassion to my heart that I've been able to give back because the kids that I deal with every day are in or were in a similar position as me, growing up through primary school, and having positive male role models around you, and especially from home and coming from a large Italian family, it's amazing to have your dad and your nonnies and your uncles showing you the way. But
Mm.
yeah, that's something about me that's not on there. I think why I wanted to get into it was to give back and just be a real advocate for males in education, to know that we have, and no disrespect to the females, obviously, but we have so much power with the young boys and females as well. But yeah, that's probably why, I think, just in a nutshell.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I think when you're talking, people can't see me. I just had the biggest smile across my face just then. No, because I think, and I've, been saying for a very, very long time, many decades, that it's a privilege to be in front of any young person every day. And, what I heard in that was that commitment and that passion and the impact it had on you, and playing that forward and being that role model for young people and inspiring our teams. I mean, from what I do know about your school and your leadership, is incredible. And I just think, it's been spoken about quite highly, and that's very reflective of the things that I've heard about your beautiful school. So I'm very, very grateful.
Thank
Lucia,
you.
I'll just get you to move the slide. Thank you. So, just doing a little bit of housekeeping, just for those of you that are joining us. It will be recorded. So, if you are needing to run off and go and speak to the children or to do anything like that, please know that we will be sending it out to you. It is an interactive webinar. So, Luke has been very, very game to allow himself to be here. There are other staff members that will be on the chat bot. So, on the chat channel. So, again, you know, if you have any questions at all, please pop them into the chat. We have a team there. They will pass them to either Luke or myself or to both of us. It's a very informal conversation, but it's one that we value very, very strongly, and particularly on behalf of Life Skills Go. So I'll just introduce myself very briefly. So my name's Nikki Bonus. I won't read my bio. I think I have been around for, I love that it's saying now, like more than 20 years, working within education. I think one of the things that really stood out for me, Luke, when you were speaking is, the impact of my life and the lessons that I learned as a young person as well, and really wanting to play that forward. And I think I'll go off my normal script just off the back of what you've just shared. I Part of the environment that I grew up in, and the sort of the home that I grew up in, was a very unusual environment. It was very colourful, and it wasn't being. We weren't identified because of the postcode that we were living in. So it was one of those things that was quite overlooked, and unfortunately, it was a very unsafe home and one that didn't lead to a conducive environment. And why I say this is I had a brother who went through school and no one noticed what was happening. And unfortunately, he went on to take his life. And we used to joke together that I wanted to be a nun and he wanted to be a gangster. And I think now, with the amount of, it's probably a slightly tongue in cheek, but when we look at that model of trauma and family engagement and we look at the roles that people play, one of the things for me was I wanted to make sense of my life, and I wanted to challenge, I want to look at the why. Why are young people falling through the gaps? Why wasn't it seen? How do we get underneath behavior? How do we really begin to look at what creates a learning environment? And
Mhm.
that became my life missions work. And here we are today with Life Skills Go. So that's enough about me. I'm going to move on from that. And I really want to delve a little bit deeper into why you're here this evening, Luke. One of those is your role as assistant principal at your school, leading learning, wellbeing engagement. What does your day to day look like?
Day to day, as you'd probably know, Nikki, can be very different. As structured as we are in a primary school, there's always things that pop up. But look, we're here first and foremost for the children. So we'll drop anything at the drop of a hat if there's behaviours, if there's kids coming in who are dysregulated, if there's parents who want to have a chat about things that are going on. Often, replying to emails late in the evening from parents who just need a bit more info. So we're very hands on with our approach. We do have our structured leadership meetings as well, where things do come up, and we are very professional and take to the forefront of what needs to be dealt with in a timely manner. So anything that involves the children will always come first. So we're out on yard duty, we're walking around, we're speaking to the kids, we're interacting with the parents. That's part of the Nailsworth culture and community, which everyone loves and everyone seems to comment on. So even if we don't have a yard duty, we're still out there trying to connect and just gauging what will today be like. What do we have to be on? And the last couple of days here in Adelaide, we've had a lot of rain, so we've had to make some changes in the yard, and that's had a big impact on some of our students
Mm-hmm.
as well, not getting their normal physical activity. So, we're around the mark there as well. But, we do lots of check-ins, obviously, with the amazing program that you guys have developed. We're speaking to staff. We're in and out of classrooms. It's very rare that we're just sitting in an office all day. I think that old school mentality of a principal or the leadership team just in their office all day on emails is long gone. So we like to be proactive. We like to check in with our students and with our staff, because our staff's well-being is equally as important as our children's, and just providing them strategies and just being there for everyone. So yeah, I'd love to say every day is the same, but that would be very boring. As you know, something can happen at recess that takes you the whole day to figure out. But when you know that that's a young child's well-being at stake there, you move heaven and earth to help them with the strategies that we've implemented. And so lucky to have an amazing leadership team that we work with. I'm looking at them because they're in my office like they're here. That's how close we are. We're always together, but no one's here. It's just me.
I love that.
So it's great to know that wherever we are, we've got not so much backup, but we've got teamwork. We know how to look after each other and know each other's strengths. So yeah, the kids always come first throughout the day. So yeah,
And it's interesting, the research shows that, that connection and relationship and that sense of belonging and all those things that you do so well. It sounds like you do really well, and from the sounds of it, you're implementing into your school. Um, and it is that, that basis of learning. We want to be here. We feel welcome. There's no one in the school that I don't feel like, I've either eyeballed or smiled at. And I think that's a huge testament to the culture of your school as well.
yeah. Thank you.
You've mentioned a couple of, I mean, you've used the word well-being. I'm gonna give anyone on this webinar, I'm gonna give you I can't even think of the word tonight. If you can come up with another name for the word well-being, I would be so grateful. Like I feel like no, and Luke, you can't now because like I'm about to hammer you with questions, but I'm
Yeah.
just going to throw it out there to people in the webinar. And the reason I say that is, well-being sells yogurt and yoga pants and tissues and things like that. And particularly well-being taken over from welfare. There's kind of two sides that people sit on. It's like, oh, we're in the wellbeing camp and we're doing it all, yeah, we've done that and it's over. And the reason I sort of tongue in cheek say, could we find another word, is I can hear, I can see, you're very passionate about well-being and it shines through. I know, it's the first time you and I have actually met, but I'd love to know what was that lead in that led you to going, no, I really want to lead this. This is something that really drives me.
Yeah, look, it's a story that I got to share at my previous site, and I felt so privileged and humbled to be able to share it. Being an adult that I am now, it was tricky going through primary school, and I still get a little bit emotional talking about it. But
Mm.
I went to three different primary schools, from reception to year one to year two. It wasn't until I hit year three that I found my feet. I was severely bullied throughout reception and year one, and I think that put me back quite a bit. You might not be able to figure it out now, but I do have a stutter, so that was one of the reasons why I was heavily, I guess, targeted. And I just remember my early days of school not being as pleasant and not wanting to go. And, the support that I got from my mum and dad and my extended family at that time was absolutely amazing. There's no way I'd be in the position that I am now without them. And, something just happened from changing from one primary school to another until I found my niche. I found where I belonged and, got some help with the stutter. And now, it comes back every now and then, but it's just amazing that that's actually driven me. That's always going to be something in the back of my mind. And at my previous site, I was able to share that at the graduation ceremony.
Wow.
And it was such a nice feeling, a nice emotion because I'm the eldest of three boys, so I'd like to think that I've been that role model for my brothers to carry through school and life. And I think what would have happened if I had stayed at those schools? What would have happened if I didn't find my people? What would have happened if I didn't have such supportive parents and role models to guide me in that area? So I guess when I see kids now who might have something like I had growing up, it's just that touch, and I'm alert, and I've lived it. I know what it feels like, so I want them to know that, hey, look, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I'm a really good example of that, I think, and it's only since I've become into a leadership role that I've been able to feel comfortable sharing that. So yeah, that's probably one of my drivers, just to make sure that kids out there know that there's always that chance, that things are going to turn for the positive. So get yourself in a good headspace, and I think I've been fortunate with my upbringing to be in such a nurturing and loving environment. So that's what I hope to bring to my two girls. But obviously, every child that I have the pleasure of meeting and trying to assist is that's my end goal as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Like that's I was going to say an incredibly vulnerable, but I don't think it's vulnerable. It's very honest, very real. And thank you for sharing that because I think it's really important that that we own our own story too, and that there's a truth to that story. Because I think when we look young people in the eyes, often it's not about the words, but it's that
Mm,
knowing, and it's
definitely.
that knowing and owning that. And I think what a privilege those young people have to be around you. And thank you for the work you do. And that's not tokenistic. I think
No,
it's
thank you. I appreciate it.
incredibly important. So can you share a little bit about your school context, your students, where you are, sort of a little bit more so we can understand a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So Nailsworth Primary School, we're a Category 7 school in a very affluent suburb. We've got 516 students currently enrolled. That'll jump to 540 with our new mid-year reception intakes, which will be exciting to welcome them aboard
Mm.
into our community. We're located, close to the CBD, a very sporty, very multicultural school. It's an amazing context to be in such a, I guess, welcoming and supportive community. We like to think that everyone feels like they belong here. If you speak to our students, recess and lunchtime, we've developed some programs where students are able to connect, through similar interests, and like-minded students are going to always hang with the like-minded students. So we try and promote that to build that self-efficacy within each other. Our parent community is very helpful, very hands-on, that they want to be involved. They always have good intentions, and we've got a great parent community group led by some amazing mums and dads, which is, great to see. And I guess that shows the impact of having the whole school community on board, because what filters through the parents will obviously, come out flourishing children in our community.
Mm.
So yeah, we're big on belonging. We're big on inclusion. We're really big on everyone's got a voice here at Nailsworth, and I feel fortunate to lead the Year 5-6 team. Um, Obviously, only in my second year, I haven't seen the progression of the 5 6s through their primary years, but it's always amazing at the graduation ceremonies, and I've only been to one, but you sit next to some of their reception teachers and their year ones and their year two teachers, and they're just so amazed with, the strong role models that they've been able to grow into, which I think is a real tick to our teachers, to our staff, to our
Mm.
community. Having that whole kind of team around the child for the overall development is just amazing. I can't speak higher enough of Nailsworth Primary.
Uh, I have no words. It's very, very nice to hear somebody love their school so much. I think the thing that's sort of jumping up or sort of percolating inside of me right now is, you know, one of the things, and I just realized that I didn't really talk about Life Skills Go. So I'm just going to tiny little kind of who are we? What does Life Skills Go do? Um, One of the main things that Life Skills Go does is it addresses the lag indicators for young people. Student facing, it teaches emotional literacy, it teaches self-regulation, it teaches social skills. It's got all that student facing without, losing teaching and learning time and having a whole school approach. But on the back end, it also pulls together real-time data, real-time wellbeing data around students' readiness to learn, longitudinal data. And the reason I'm sort of probably saying that first is to those on the webinar this evening that don't know anything about Life Skills Go. But the other side is quite often there is this assumption that schools in affluent areas or schools that are in certain postcodes might not have the same needs. And I think, I alluded to that at the beginning, that one of the things that you and I know, and most people know, is, we're not looking for a school of 100% happy students 100% of the time. That's not life. And if that is there, that is actually an alert that will get sent to you that if they've been saying they're happy for too long, because that's not a human, it's not possible for humans. The
Yeah.
other thing is, life happens on life's terms. I always say that life is very lifey. No matter where you live, no matter what your postcode, life will still life away, and things happen to families, environments, and it's not personal. But with the traditional methods of attendance, behavior, teachers' observation, masking, anxiety, cyberbullying, all of these things, they're often discovered too late because of the traditional methods. So that was more for our audience rather than you. So now here's the question, Luke. What were you, before you found Life Skills Go, what were you looking for? Because, so far we've heard about your incredible school, we've heard about all the initiatives that you do. You've got an amazing leadership team, you've got amazing teachers, amazing students, amazing parents, amazing parent community. I bet you a lot of people in this webinar are going, oh, well, I was just going to go and drop into that
And
school.
go
I know
there,
I
yeah.
want to come and have a look. But I think, you're ticking those boxes. And I think this is something that's really important for communities is like, what were you looking for? What was missing?
I think not so much the voice from the students, but giving them an actual platform to share how they're feeling. And it
Mm,
wasn't just sporadic. We wanted something purposeful that we could track.
mm,
And the thought of having a daily check-in option for our students when they're walking through the front gate, because as you mentioned, being in an affluent area doesn't mean everything's perfect all of the time. There's high stresses with any any student or any family or any school as well. So for us not to know what's going on, I think, on a daily basis isn't setting the kids up for success. So
mm,
we wanted something practical. We wanted something that we could share data with families
mm,
with their permission, obviously, because
mm,
obviously we give privacy consent for our
mm.
students. So if they didn't want us to share something, obviously we would go down that path and have the conversation. But it was more about how can we let the students tell us and not us tell them. So we
Mhm.
really love the database that Life Skills Go provides. I'll do a big shout out to Marcus Barr if he's on.
How good is he? Oh
He
my
was
God.
amazing. So
I
yeah,
know.
when I was inquiring, yeah, we did so many video calls, and he
Mm,
just gave me all the time, and the tech support is brilliant too. So
thank you.
yeah, just to get us set up, and we started to see students really enjoying the process of coming in, signing in, making it a routine. We had tangible data. We were able to track data over a period of time. It wasn't just a one-off wellbeing
Mm.
survey where we didn't get any data that we could do things with. This was looking for patterns over a period of time. Why is this student always happy on a Friday morning opposed to a Wednesday when they come and sign in, they're down and out. So having the data being linked to Central as well was one of the portals that we use for our attendance. We gave teachers and staff the opportunity to explore the best way forward with this. So some of our classes opted for the morning sign-in, so using Central to sign in, use it as a roll call. We got as far as having the QR codes available for our older students as well. They seemed to like that because once they did their check-in, they were able to spend some time in the digital journal, looking at
Nice.
self-regulation videos, or I think they had the gratitude responses as well. So those kids who were feeling a bit down, they're able to tune in there. We've just trialled a few things with our Year 5 class. They've been able to have a different mode set up where they've got a separate screen while the class is doing a silent reading task in the morning, and people come on individually, and the teacher gets to see it then and there with them as well, or they can do it privately. The goal that we reached with our Year 6s was they started off like that, but then everyone built up enough confidence and self-esteem to actually have it on the board. So their friends are actually tracking them and seeing, hey, this is where, this is how, my mate's feeling today. I'm not going to wait till recess to go up to him and ask what's
Can
happening.
I jump in there?
Of
Because,
course.
like, sorry, you saw me cheering. No one else could have
Okay.
seen me cheering. Because if we had have said to you, oh, your year sixes will be fine doing it in front of each other, you would have looked at Marcus and gone, yeah, yeah, mate, you don't know how cool for school our year sixes are.
Exactly. Exactly.
The but one of the things I that has stood out for me across hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of schools, is these young people genuinely care about their peers. They want to know how they are, and we're giving them an opportunity to see them differently and to develop empathy. And
Hmm.
I think when and the only reason I wanted to jump in there then
No,
was
of
go
course.
because it would have been, oh no, no, Marcus, or whoever did your who was looking after your onboarding and training. The teams always say, oh, they're reluctant to let young people do it in front of the older classes do it in front of it,
Yeah.
but they love it. It's like, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. And it's also, it changes the class. So I'm not going to talk. Actually, I'm just going to stop talking.
No,
I just want
no.
to hear, no, but it's like, I got really excited because it's exactly that thing that everyone thinks that they won't like it or what's going to happen if they're down. But I'd love to hear, any stories that you've got or what stood out or shocked you about this. Sorry, I'm all excited now.
No, no, definitely, and that's how we wanted to start it off. We gave the kids a big spiel, and I thought we'd start with the Year 6s, just being the more mature and the
Mm,
leaders of the group. And we found out so many things. We're teaching self-regulation through the zones of regulation as well. So you can see the character cards behind me. We've linked them with the zones of
love that.
regulation and the language that we use too.
Hmm.
We wanted them to feel safe and not so much vulnerable, but feel like they could make these decisions on their own first, and then actually feel like they can do it in front of the
Hmm.
class, but in a neutral setting where not everyone's staring at the board. They might be reading or doing something silently, getting ready. The other thing that we started doing as well was once we mastered that, we actually changed the times. So we changed it to an after recess check-in. We changed it to an after lunch or just before home check-in. And then we started to marry up, how their, I guess, self-efficacy changed throughout the day. So I guess one of the big things with that is, knowing your students and giving them that agency as well. So they're able to talk about that with their friends. But, some of the awesome things that occur as well, I guess the students who may not feel as connected, it might be a male and a female. We had boys who going up to girls asking, hey, is, everything all right? I noticed that you clicked this. And we'd always ask, is this okay? We'd triple check the privacy, make sure everyone's all right with that. But it was just nice to get that community feel inside the class. And then, other things happen after that. They start to say, we'd like a bit more than 5 minutes, Mr. Rinaldi. Can we have some more time? So we add in more questions, but it's all through learner agency. It's all through the student's voice. This isn't for us. Like, we get amazing data from it, but it's all led by the kids, which is, the biggest selling point that Marcus was great at letting me know. It's the actual kids' feelings and emotions. So, we altered from starting from 5 questions. We went up to 10. We went up to 15. We got to the point where the first lesson they were just on it the whole time. So we had to scale it back a bit for obvious reasons, but and then the vice versa with that. When we wanted to introduce it to our junior primary students in year 1 and 2, we were finding that too many questions and too many options were overwhelming. So again, we go back to the kids. What's going to make this more effective for you? So we ended up just doing 1 or 2 questions.
Yeah, beautiful.
And, it just skyrocketed from there. So I think the teachers will be able to know their class and the students will be able to know each other and feel comfortable in that space. And just the database and the internet, the information that we receive back from the check-ins are just so invaluable. And it's nice because you're scrolling on Central and you might be going through your daily bulletin and you can see the pinned students there as well and what they're up to, how many times, Johnny's been ready to learn or who's not ready to learn on the ready to learn scale. So, and the way that you can customize the check-ins is really positive because that's another example of learner agency and how we can give that to our students to lead.
And I know you sort of lent into something that I kind of just want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into. And schools are really busy places, and there's a lot of competing priorities, there's a lot of personalities, there's a lot of little people. What do you think you did really well to bring your school on board initially? Because, as a CEO of the company, to me, it's like, I'll say to the teams, everyone needs to know the why, even down to the students. We can't, but more than that, there has to be value for every single person. And I'm always fascinated because every school does this differently. I'd love to hear how you introduced it and how you brought the team along on that journey with you.
Yeah, great question, Nikki. I think with my leadership style, I'm very proactive. So I'd never ask my team or staff members to do something that I'd never done before as well. So I'd love to throw myself into the class with them. So show them, hey, I'm learning this as well and figure out everything with them. So I'd never go away and just look at something and go, all right, here you go, guys. Here's step 1, 2, 3 in an email. Go and do it and then tell me how you go. So I think my proactiveness in that, they could see the care, they could see the genuine excitement, and just revving up the kids for this as well for the first time was amazing. And I think from there, just figuring out and putting it to staff with explicit examples to see, who would like to be involved in the champion team. We'll access the support and the online training, and show the rest of the site and the school. I don't want to say how easy it is, but how effective and how time productive it is to have that ready to go as a resource for the classes. So I think leading that with the kids, talking to the kids about it, coaching the teachers and staff members on site as well, involving SSOs in the classroom to have multiple opportunities for check-ins, really showing them the value and providing the training that's necessary for it. I think that was one of the key things. And then working with that champion team, I think we had 6 or 7, teachers trial it in the first. Wow. I think we joined mid-year last year, and we had 6, 7 teachers just go for it. So, but knowing that you guys are on the back end as well, knowing I could speak to Marcus and say, hey mate, I can't log in here, or someone's forgotten their password, or how do we change this? So yeah, I'm a big believer in if I'm not just me, if I'm wanting something to work, like I can see the benefit in it, but I've got to involve people. I've got to take them along for the journey, because again, it's not about us. It's about what the kids can actually get out of it as well. So I'd like to think I did that well and, offered resources and, weekly meetings to catch up and talk about anything and then send it off to Marcus again and then come back with feedback. And I think one of the most promising things that we reached was having the teacher conferences or the student conferences. So students would be able to, hey guys, here's your printout summary of your data for the
Hmm.
month. Let's show you how to actually decode it and read it together. So we had again, I'll go to the year sixes because that was the first class that we trialed it with. You've got year six students at the end of the year just talking about their wellbeing literacy like it's been fluent their whole lives. They've got their report there. Oh yeah, I've been off on Thursdays, but this is why. But look at my readiness to learn scale. It's gone up from not ready to ready to learn pretty much frequently. And to hear that some of the information has been shared in parent teacher interviews as well has been amazing. To hear our senior students want to come into the junior years and show them how
Oh,
effective it is has been very promising as well. So that's something that I'd like to pick up again this term.
mm,
To be honest, we've let our staff settle in for the start of
mm.
the year with term one. So we had one or two classes trial it, and now we're back to having four or five back on deck. So we're hoping by the end of the year, one of the goals, because we're always projecting, all right, we're doing some really cool stuff here. How can we take it to the next level? And we work with our buddy classes, but because we've got more junior primaries than upper primaries, unfortunately, our year six classes aren't tied to a buddy class. So that's one thing that
Hmm.
we brought in last year. They're able to come in and show the younger kids how to use it as well. So that's a goal that we'll have hopefully achieved by the end of term three, and then we'll look at some other things as well.
And I think I just want to just lean into Annette's question. Um, I just want to make sure. Oh, Annette, you just popped something. So the thing that I will say to that, Annette, and great question. The last thing, and I'm sorry, you can completely. I'd love to hear your view on this, Luke. From a data perspective, the last thing schools need is more data for data's sake. Like
Yeah.
having a hypothesis of if we're checking in the morning, the consistency of checking in the morning, creating routine. If we look at best practice, trauma informed, it also says to
Mhm.
the students, we want to know how you are. We want to, relieve or alleviate any form of something that we could possibly, as imagine in your role when you see your executive dashboard in the morning and there could be little names where you go, oh, I might just give that teacher a call, or I might just check in and see if I can head off something because so and so has turned up a little bit dysregulated. To your point, Annette, is we have a lot of schools who their hypothesis might be that actually there is a lot of young people in out of home care, or school is their safe place. And they arrive feeling really, they do the check in the morning, and
Mhm.
they might allow individual students, or they might ask individual students to do the check out in the afternoon, because often at about 2 o'clock or just before they go home, those check ins are very, very, very
Mm.
different.
Mm. Yeah.
And I think knowing why we're putting those check-ins rather than like if we are moving them around, having a hypothesis that we're wanting to check against the data. I hope that made sense, Annette, to your questions. I think it's really, it is important that when we are getting this data, it is going somewhere. Did you want to add anything to that, Luke?
No, perfect. I love that, Nikki. And it's, I guess, if we're doing the check-ins in the morning, we know after they say how they're feeling, it'll ask them, where has this feeling come from? So most of the
Mm,
time it's come from home. It might be online. They might be doing something before they
mm,
come to school. So it's important for us to know maybe what are the barriers or the challenges that might be present at home that they might not feel like discussing.
mm,
And then opposed to when you do it at your 2 o'clock,
mm,
what's happened throughout the day? Have they just come back from a specialist lesson? Has an
mhm,
altercation occurred at lunchtime that hasn't been resolved and they're not ready to learn? So the different environments that it sets up as well. And then I guess from there you can make some really tangible decisions about your strategy for the next morning, or if it's possible to get in contact with mum and dad and just say, hey, look, this has occurred today. didn't get a chance to speak to, but I can see on the Life Skills Go dashboard that they've signed out feeling like this. If you can have a conversation, and I'll chase it up in the morning. So
Mm,
yeah, definitely those times are really vital, and I think it's important that once you do get in the hang of using the dashboard and having the children, I guess relatively confident in what they're saying and how they're checking in. Like you mentioned before, if they're always signing in as happy, there's probably a
mm,
good chance there that
mm,
there might be something else going on. So if they do get that opportunity to try it at different times, it'll be interesting to see how the data correlates
mm,
during the day as well. And they can see that bell curve goes up
mm,
and down, which is normal, as we know.
mm. And I think you're absolutely spot on. I think I wish that, and you're younger than me, so at school we weren't taught about emotions. We didn't know the
Mm,
science of emotions. We didn't know the impact on, if a young person is dysregulated, they're not in a state of readiness to learn. If they don't feel, I won't go into the whole rambles and the science behind it, but it's really interesting that with neuroscience and with neuroplasticity and with all the research that we've got, particularly over the last 15 years, that even the ability for young people to learn how to name their emotions, Dan Siegel says it, Dr. Dan Siegel says it, naming it to tame it is in itself a form of self-regulation. And I think giving them that baseline of how do we prepare our young people to learn how to identify, communicate, and manage their emotions. And we know that basis of social emotional learning is critical for our young people, and particularly in an ever-changing world. But where I sort of want to point this direction to now is there's one thing to collect the data,
mm,
and then there's another, and every school does this differently within their leadership teams, their wellbeing teams, their learning support teams, their reporting. There's a whole lot of different ways that schools use it. The big caveat I'd say on this for those of you that are new to Life Skills Go or to any form of emotional literacy is the check-in. And so I feel like it's like a little preamble to this.
yeah,
It's okay for Luke to be checking in angry. It's not a red flag for me as a teacher to run at Luke because he's angry. It's when we begin to see the pattern in central of Luke's turning up angry on Monday every week, Friday every week, and it's consistent. There's something that he is attaching anger or anxiety or sadness to. And these are things, even with the best teaching practices, human brains are, if I said to you, Luke, week one, how was, year two down the road, how was Sarah? You're going to go, I have no idea. But being able to have this mapped and lifted through data and triangulated in central now so that you've actually got that
yeah,
central piece. So
yeah.
you don't need to be a data scientist. Everyone's just like, oh my God. Now you don't need to be a data scientist. You don't even need to look for the trends because they're actually, they're done for you in Central. How is your school? Sorry, that was a very long ramble. I sort of feel like
No,
I'm
no, that's
speaking to
okay.
people who don't know us and then to
Yeah,
what you're doing in your school. How are you as a leadership team using this? How are you discerning it? Is there an expectation on the teachers? Just talk to us a little bit about how you've set it
yeah.
up.
We've set it up again to be purposeful and
Mm,
direct. So if I recall back to when we just first started, back term 2 last year, we were seeing increasing incidences pop up on our central dashboard for incidences at recess and lunch. So
mm,
some of them were minor, some of them were quite extreme, and some of them were to the point where kids were missing out on play due to the behaviour that they were showing in the yard or exclusion and things like that we weren't proud of. So one of the main things we did, we altered one of the check-in times to purposefully be after lunch, so
yeah,
we could
good.
we could monitor. We were never going to be able to track the whole school, but we were pretty sure that we narrowed it down to a specific cohort, which I won't say on here, but we
Nice.
monitored and tracked that cohort,
Mm,
and from memory, I think it was close to 60 or 70% where they were feeling dysregulated after lunch because something had happened. And
mm,
if you're a school teacher or a principal or in education, you'll hear the same story. It happened on the bell, so we didn't get a chance to resolve it. So,
mhm,
and you know what? Most of the time, the kids are correct. It does happen like that. So we were able to use that data. We were able to involve our student leaders. So we have a very strong student leader presence here at Nailsworth Primary. So we've got our year 3, 4 SRC delegates and our year 5, 6 executive team. So we're able to sit down with them, full transparency. We kept the kids' names out of everything. So we whited it all out so they didn't know who it was. And we had data for that cohort after lunch. We could see everyone was kind of in that red area. So it came down to, sometimes being left out or not being able to play or things like that, showing why they were feeling that way. And from there, we're able to take some of those students from that cohort to work with our student leaders, our SRCs, and we were able to develop a scenario that's called pop-up play. So what that means is we used the informed data that we were getting from the Life Skills Go representation just to focus on a cohort that we had concerns about. Invited peers from that cohort, again looking at learner agency and giving our students a voice, to work with our student leaders who are above that cohort. Hopefully that doesn't give away their age. And really nut out opportunities for kids to make pretty much clubs, so lunchtime clubs, and they've gone through the roof. So we've had things like karaoke, we've had things like gymnastics, specific year levels having table tennis competitions, drawing clubs. We've got a robotics club now, student-led clubs where like-minded kids can come in, feel like they belong in a niche area and just thrive and know that that's available for them. And, it might sound cliche, but after a week or so, those check-ins were getting a lot better after lunch. People were feeling involved. We didn't have so many in the red, or this is in our office, so students would come in and point to where they're feeling because they were so dysregulated. And great thing about the character cards is, it gives you the strategies, it walks you through them, and they are online as well. But, we saw that shift because we use the data to inform us of our next steps. And I think that's just grown tremendously now. We had planned just to do it for a term, but now we've got, we've got year 2s running clubs at recess and lunch with or for the whole school. So, anything from making or arts and crafts. And it's largely because of the data that we saw from Life Skills Go, and because we're able to really hone in on 1 or 2 cohorts at a time and find, recess and lunch can be, can be lonely for some students. And if they know, hey, on a Wednesday, there's a club in the library that I might want to go try, that's going to be my highlight for the week. So, and then those kids actually go and do it every day. They don't just wait for Wednesday. So that's been one of my big achievements here, especially for a school this size. But to be able to give that responsibility to student leaders and not just myself out there every single lunchtime. Like, I feel confident having our SRCs or having our house leaders out there running the pop-up play for the very reason of kids are going to come in and they're going to feel amazing after recess and lunch. So that's been a real big spike that we've seen too.
And for me, a standout on listening to you just then was, we have data for continuous improvement on every other area. We've got numeracy, we've got literacy, we've got, we can evaluate these things based off metrics that we have. And, there's one thing for us as Life Skills go, and now your teachers, now your school principal, now your executives have the ability to measure in real time, day by day, week by week, to see if these things are working. And you've just literally described that exact same continuous improvement. So, if we're like right down to an individual student, often if we have a young person learning support, or we have someone who's really struggling with attending school, up until, schools implemented Life Skills Go, we'd have no way of being able to review, is what we're doing working on a wellbeing level? Is it working on a cohort level? Is it working across classes, age groups? Is it working across the whole school? And what areas are moving and shifting? And you literally surmised exactly what we often say. And I just think to hear it in action and to hear that, I never watch these webinars back because, I just don't, I listen to myself. But I want to listen to that story again because it was the most beautiful story of, yes, it could be, well, actually, we sit down with the interactive reports in our, meetings and our, like, which is like that happens, but I
Yeah.
love that the purposeful, the actionable, and also we talk about giving young people agency. We talk about giving them a voice. We talk about, empowering them. But a lot of the time it's just talk. But what I'm hearing is you're actioning them and you're giving them opportunities to be creative, to have leadership skills, to get out there and, year two, running things for the school. And one of the things that I feel extremely joyful about is, you know, before school, recess, lunch, are really hard times for a lot of students, but they're invisible. We don't know them until too late. Or so yeah, I haven't heard of a school, and I thought I've heard most things, but that is just a really thank you for walking us through how
No,
you've
you're
been doing.
welcome.
Just notice the time. I'm gonna have to start surefire shooting at you.
That's okay.
Okay, so what is something that real-time data has shown you about a student that you would never have known if you hadn't have implemented a preventative approach to well-being?
Yeah, look, probably I guess the old school attachment theory as well, why this student was, fine in the yard, but then when he saw his twin brother going into the next door classroom, why aren't I there with him? So that
Mm,
separation anxiety, and we always thought it may have been due to parents doing a quick drop off or being in OSH, but it was actually, he just wanted to be with his brother. So, as cute as that is, he actually got to the point there where he could actually write, this is how I'm feeling and why. So without that, as a leader and with so many other challenges throughout the day, you overthink things, but
mm,
without having the journal entries, we probably would have never found out. So that separation anxiety, we were able to work through that. It was the start of the year. So the boys are pretty close as
mm,
brothers,
mm,
as
mm,
you know. Parents had asked for them to be in a separate class and just for their own well-being and to develop themselves as individuals, which we completely support. This was at a previous school, sorry. So, but it was more about us. If we didn't pick up on that, we would have just been guessing and not having the journal entry tool to actually figure that out.
mm,
Because he was shy, he didn't want to mention
mm,
why. So
mm.
that's probably one thing that comes to mind straight away.
No, I love that. Thank you. And you know, in terms of a shift from your leadership and a leadership perspective, what strategies has helped bring staff on board with this shift of implementation?
I think them seeing it in action, I think them seeing it actually work, and the children developing their wellbeing literacy skills, being able to have a restorative conversation after something's gone wrong and pick up on the language that they're using. I can understand you're feeling like this, or
Mm,
I apologize for doing this, but however, this is how I feel as well. So I think them seeing the process of it being purposeful, so we do get those conversations happening with
mm,
the students, and they are student led, but they don't have to be student led. Like we can always prompt them as well. I think that's been super positive. Along with kids, if we sit something like the Wellbeing Engagement Collection
mm,
surveys, that they're feeling like they've got that language to be able to articulate what's happened, or if they're going home and saying, look, this has occurred, or today I helped my friend, get through this, and this is how it's made me feel. That's a
mm,
big win as well. So I think when staff and parents and of course students,
mm,
realize that their vocab's being extended because they can actually articulate what they're feeling. I think we can all remember back in reception or when we're little, we don't have the nous or the vocab to be able, or the regulation skills to be able to let people know how we're feeling. So that's something that we're really really proud of. So
I have two final questions for you.
sure.
And I promise, I just said this because I'm going to hold myself to this because we're going to let people go and enjoy their evening.
No
Also, if
worries.
anyone else is sitting on anything, please pop it in. But what advice would you give to other schools starting this journey, and particularly those that are already using things like Central or Compass
Yeah,
or School Bites?
I think I'm grateful that I listened to Marcus and I knew my staff, and
Mm,
I tried to find that champion. I tried to find that champion in the staff who I knew would take this on and have that same passion as me, and just trial it with one class at a time.
mm,
Just see how it goes, see what they're feeling, get the feedback, let the kids have a bit of a play. You're limiting your workload, but you're also going to get a big output and a big response from just one cohort. I think what teachers might do is after they've heard my story, they might just go, all right, all our year five, sixes, you guys are on this tomorrow,
mm,
which would be great. But I think the realistic approach is, find that champion teacher or champion cohort that you know are really going to lap this up and really
mm,
take it for everything that it is. Lead it with them. Don't just
mm.
give them handouts. Go in there, show them that you're a learner as well. If you can, make yourself available the first week for almost every check-in and monitor how they're going, see what they're doing, but not to be overarching or overwhelming to that staff member as well, because as we all know, teaching is one of the most
Mhm.
interesting and rewarding roles in the world, but you leave making close to 500, 600 decisions before you even walk through that door. So, make it achievable, small bites, but really, look at that champion team that you can show some great um, initiative and help with.
And I think that leans into our ethos that we always say to people. I think people think that, we're going to be like, oh, hard, go. And we're always like, go slow, be
Yeah,
deliberate, but be consistent. And,
definitely.
I see you just thank you for that. And finally, this is my last question. What has surprised you the most about implementing Life Skills Go?
I think what surprised me the most is again, I don't want to say how easy it is, but just how tangible it can be. Like it's not a standalone thing that you just
Mm,
put on for the kids to be quiet or anything like
mm,
that. It's just how fast the kids react to it. I guess it's ICT, it's technology,
mm,
so the kids are getting more fluent with that. But I think how receptive our community has been. So we've been able to have conversations with parents to say, hey, look, we've noticed this, and the parents have gone, yeah, they've actually come home and said that they've already had a conversation with people in their class about it too. So
mm,
I think when you're starting a program, or if you want to look at it as a resource or a strategy like Life Skills Go, it's very easy to get overwhelmed because there's so many different facets inside the dashboard. But I guess for me, it's the practicality, it's the, I guess, connectiveness that we feel as a staff, and um, teachers are leaning on each other. Hey, have you tried this check-in, or have you changed this to that? Giving agency as well in that retrospect too. So I guess what surprised me is how fast it's actually picked up and
mm,
taken off.
mm,
It's very user friendly. It's you get instant feedback, which we love. As teachers, no one wants to be sitting there marking everything, and this is something that's comes straight from the student's mouth and how they're feeling. So yeah, I can't praise it enough, Nikki. You guys have created something truly special here, so we're very grateful.
Oh, I think I have to do a huge shout out to all the schools and communities and the students that we've worked with for a very, very long time. I always say that we have an amazing team here, as you mentioned. But it's also the communities that we've built hand in hand. We don't want to build technologies. We don't want to build technology solutions, for problems that we think exist. It's been a very slow, very deliberate journey with us of working with all, with schools like you that are finding those gaps and finding where we can use technology for good, really use it for good to make sure that it's, helping young people not only thrive, but also helping everyone build relationships. And you touched on several times, and I just want to say, I love the way that you're using the reporting, not only with the young people, but also with the families, because it changes the conversation. It's very different to go, oh, so and so is angry every Monday and Friday, rather than, hey, I'm just curious, what's been going on
Mm.
because this is what so and so's been saying. And, everything about schools is about families and relationships and communication. And to be able to provide that and to support the incredible work that you're already doing in every other area around that sense of belonging and engagement and feeling like they do belong and that they can come to, to be in a state of readiness to learn. we should just be a wraparound, just a wraparound that is lifting up anything that needs to be seen and also celebrating the good things. We're having really great, streaks of young like classes on readiness to learn, and it becomes contagious. I just want to say, I just realized it's time. We're getting thrown off. I could stay here for ages.
Me too.
I know. I really want to say thank you, and I also want to say I thank you for. I think you're coming on National Check-in Week as an ambassador. I think
Yes,
I
I
might
am.
be. Oh,
Yes.
you are. There
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
I might
Thanks
just
for
get
that
Lucia to
opportunity.
pop that up
Yeah.
on the screen. I'm really. So what next from here? We will be sending this recording out. If you would like to jump onto National Check-in Week, we have the most wonderful amount of free webinars with some of Australia's leading experts in areas of neuroscience, screen use, brain development. We've got AI for education, how to prepare your school before we bring it in. There's some amazing Australian leaders that have put their hands up and volunteered their time to be looking at some of the critical issues that we need to address today in Australian schools. Also, fantastic webinars for your family communities as well. So it's free for absolutely everyone. There's curated resources. There is absolutely no cost for you as well. So we'll pop that in an email tomorrow. We also, you're more than welcome to join Marcus and do a free trial. You
Yeah.
can also, um, is it okay for people to reach out to you, Luke,
Yeah, of
if
course
they've
it
got
is.
any
Of course.
questions?
Go for it. Yeah, not a
Pop out
problem.
to Luke. I don't know, but if you go, I also want to see, I want to hear more about this school because I think I want to go and visit it myself. It
Yeah.
sounds like a fantastic school community. And again, I just want to say thank you for volunteering your time.
You're
I
welcome.
truly, truly believe that, we as an organization, we might work across a huge number of schools, but every school is very, very different. And you know the intricacies, you know your staff, you know your community. And, we love feedback, we love improving, and we love working in partnership with all of the communities. And you've just been amazing, Luke. And I've actually genuinely really enjoyed this evening and the stories. And I look forward to hearing what's next time we meet and also during National Check-in Week. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. It's been great. I've really enjoyed sharing the story.
Thank you. Very, very, very grateful. You take care. Have a beautiful evening.
You too. Thanks, guys.